This old kitchen towel has seen better days. I think it's ready for a new life. There's plenty of usable fabric here. I like using this stripy towel, and I thought we could make a trivet with a new angle. We'll sew a diagonal and change the stripe. So let's cut away these hems. They're kind of bulky and tend to be worn out too. Oh, make sure you get it all cut away. Then grab your ruler and measure from the fold to the cut. Here it is 7 inches, so I'll need to cut a band 7 inches wide. So I have 2 squares matching and another band 7 inches wide. Boy, it sure is handy working with striped fabrics. They make a great cutting line. Now I'll need to cut the squares apart. So right on the fold, insert your scissors and trim. Great, we've got our 2 sets, top and bottom. Let's put those aside and grab the terry cloth towel. We'll need to remove the band. And using 1 set of squares as a pattern, place them on the terry cloth and cut a square the same size. We've got our layers cut out. Now let's sew. Using masking tape, I like to mark the diagonal line that I'm going to use for sewing. Pin the squares together in their sets. And we'll sew right from one corner to the next, just using a regular straight stitch. Remove the tape, and let's see what it looks like. There we are. You'll need to choose which side is the outside. That'll be my outside. Place the outside facing the table, put the terry cloth in the middle like a sandwich, and flip them together. Now notice my diagonal seam is matching the same direction. We're going to quilt all layers together using our stripes as a guide. So pin those layers secure in the area that you're going to sew. We'll just do 2 channels on this one. Again, using our stripes as a guide. Now when we get to that seam in the diagonal, let's pivot. Sink the needle, lift the foot, turn, lower the foot. And that is a pivot. Let's do it again. Stitch at the seam, sink the needle, lift the foot, turn, lower the foot. Gives a nice tailored look. The edges look a little messy, so let's zigzag those together with a wide zigzag and a longer stitch, kind of a base holding the layers. Now that we have it stitched, trim away the excess so we have a tidy edge for our binding. Now before I get to the binding, I like to put a loop on the back of my trivet. Just a small piece of ribbon going diagonally. You want it to stick up a little bit. Stitch each side down. If your kitchen is small like mine, you'll love being able to get it off the counter. Now we can bind. Take your ribbon and just measure generously all the way around the edge, plus a little extra. This piece needs to be folded the whole length, all the way down, like the spine of a book or the spine of a snake. We have a spine fold that lines up with the cut edge of the trivet. Now we will edge stitch 1 layer of that ribbon in place, lining the spine with the cut edge. Continue stitching. For a mitered corner, we're going to stitch all the way across the cut edge, then back it up about a 1/2 inch. Going to turn or pivot your fabric and ribbon, tuck the bulk under, align the spine, lower the foot, and continue edge stitching. You have just mitered a corner. Let's do it again. Stitch to the cut edge, back up, bend your binding, pivot. It's a little tricky lining it up, but you can do it. Double check that the ribbon is aligning the fold with the cut edge and continue stitching the one edge through the trivet. Now we're all the way around, so overlap your ribbon, cut it off, tuck under the raw edge, and edge stitch all the way through. Great, one side done. Now let's turn it over and stitch the remaining edge down. We're almost there. When we get to the corners, we will tuck that bulk under again. I'm choosing a straight stitch, but you could use a zigzag, a contrasting thread. This stitch will really show up, so consider how you want it to look in your design. Be patient with yourself. This is kind of a lot to handle. You're doing a pivot, you're tucking the bulk, and just slowly but surely going all the way around, finishing off your edge. By the end of this, you'll become a pivot pro. Like many things, it just takes a little practice. Now that old towel has a new life as a trivet. Good job!